He was a truly happy kid, always smiled.
Jenny and Steve Douglas could talk about their son Drew endlessly.
We're happy to talk about him because we loved him that much. He was a very big part of the family.
Very kind, lots of friends, liked sports but wasn't really competitive. He just wanted to be part of a team, but just truly loving kid.
The 14-year-old loved to golf, fish, and do yard work around his family's 21-acre property in Chehalis.
He would mow the lawn 2-3 times a week and just put his headphones on and just love life. I mean, he was a really good, passionate kid.
He was social and loved a good party.
He'd always want to have a party. That's what he would call dinners. Can we have a party, Mom? Can we have a party?
When the pandemic hit and the world shut down in March of 2020, like most families, things changed. As a manager of a power company, Steve worked throughout the shutdown, overseeing linemen who were considered essential. Jenny went back to work as a dental assistant when doctors' offices reopened. The Douglases' oldest son was gone for work, while their middle son was home.
He drove so he could leave whenever he wanted. You know, he didn't have to stay home.
Drew was often alone, navigating school online.
He started getting some anxiety because he always loved to go every place. And because he was stayed home for so long and there was this fear, he didn't want to go anywhere. And he wasn't afraid of COVID. He just got used to staying home all the time, that it got out of his comfort zone.
His parents noticed his anxiety and started him in counseling. He went to the pediatrician and got on medication. But finding the right dose was a challenge, along with getting in to see a doctor due to the pandemic.
We got to the point where he didn't like the meds. It wasn't working. And then to try and get off of it, they didn't want him to get off of the meds. But also due to COVID, because of the scheduling, like the schedule was, they couldn't get him in until like December.
He would tell us it wasn't working. We started seeing physical signs of anxiety. He would shake, physically shake. He wouldn't go to sleep. He would stay up. He would struggle to go to sleep at night.
Drew stayed on the medication while the family worked with doctors.
Yeah, and the hardest thing for me is that every time that he needed a refill, I'm the one that listens to the pharmacist of all the symptoms that could happen, and suicide was one of them. I'm like, that's not my kid, he's too happy. There's no way.
But the unimaginable did happen. Drew took his own life on September 19th, 2021. He was 14 and a half years old.
How much do you think the pandemic played a role in his mental health? Was that
90%? I would say 90%.
When we interviewed them on a hazy day outside their home with a view that stretched for miles, where Drew loved watching the sunsets, it had only been a year since his death.
That was another sign.
You hold it there for just a sec.
Yep.
So that's our logo that we came up with for our foundation.
In that time, and in their grief, Steve and Jenny formed the Drew North Foundation.
That one they made especially for us.
They hope to work with schools to establish programs like one they remember from their high school years called Natural Helpers.
It's just a peer-to-peer group where kids can go talk, and that can be your bridge to your adults, to your counselors, to your teachers, to your coaches, to your parents.
They held a 5K fundraiser run in July of 2022 and plan to continue that tradition every year, hoping to raise funds and awareness regarding mental health and suicide and give kids skills for coping with challenges.
We just loved him like our own.
Angela Bennett and Lisa McKay are two board members of the nonprofit and friends of the family. They also work in the behavioral health field and know all too well the struggles of young people during the pandemic. Another reason why they didn't hesitate to join.
Being a part of trying to help and showing these kids that we love them and that there is choices that we can make and we can help. So I really want to be a part of that.
I'm a certified mental health first aid instructor, and I would like to see every coach have to have it. I would like to see every para-educator have to have it, just like a CPR card. Mental health first aid is just CPR for mental health.
The Douglases wish they had had a better idea of how serious Drew's struggles were, suggesting that therapists could give numbers to parents, much like the pain scale, without divulging private details discussed in therapy. But their main mission is to include as many people in the discussion as possible, something Drew would have wanted.
It's such a horrible pain every day. We don't want to see anybody else go through it. So I think that's what kind of keeps us strong, is that we just don't want to see anybody go through it. And it's hard. I mean, it's hard every day.
If you or someone you know is in crisis or at risk of suicide, help is available. The number for the National Suicide and Crisis Hotline is 988. And for more information on the work of the Drew North Foundation, go to drewnorth.org.